On.
Hi everybody, I am Roman, your wine advisor at Vivant. I'm happy to welcome you to our online experience focusing on beautiful Burgundy. I personally love Burgundy because of its small villages and traditions throughout the year, such as Vendange and the wine auction of Beaune, but it's also beautiful landscapes that change throughout the year. We're here to have a good time while we learn, and our experience is interactive, so we encourage you to participate. Who is with us today? Please introduce yourself and let me know where you're tuning in from using the chat on the right-hand side. If you have any specific questions, I invite you to send a message and I will try to answer as many of your questions during the session. Feel free to participate anytime. I recognize a couple of new faces. Throughout the experience, I will send you some questions, so stay tuned and get ready to click. Participate and earn Vivant IQ points, and may the best Vivant win. We're going to learn a lot in a short amount of time. So we are going to, and then there's a graphic B. Understand how winemaking history shaped the region. We're also going to learn about the influence of natural factors and understand the local grape varieties, as well as learn the region, basic geology and soil composition, and we will finish by understanding the regional wine classification. But first, let me immerse you in Burgundy through these beautiful images. This is exactly why I love Burgundy so much. I hope you enjoyed it. The region of Burgundy in France is located 1 hour and a half on the TGV express train from Paris and 2 hours from Geneva. The area consists of 5 different wine growing regions. Chablis is where we mostly produce white wines from Chardonnay grapes. Most of the Chablis wines are not aged in oak to preserve its very distinctive minerality and offer refreshing aromas of citrus fruits. Côte de Nuit is where we mostly produce red wine from Pinot Noir grape. Wines are aged in oak and are complex and sought after. My favorite Côte de Nuit wine is Mazy Chambertin Grand Cru. Côte de Beaune, an area well known for its complex white wines made from Chardonnay and aged in oak, but also most commonly known under the name of Côte d'Or, literally Golden Coast if we translate it from French to English. This name was inspired by the color of the vine's leaf during the autumn, which becomes gold. The vineyards of Burgundy were declared in the summer of 2015 a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It is a small region by size, but it is big by the reputation of its wines. Burgundy vineyards and winemaking traditions have been shaped by more than 2,000 years of history. So let me talk to you about that. Each period had major influencers who shaped Burgundy into a reputable wine-growing region we know today. Romans were the first to plant vines in the region in the 4th century. Later on, and lasting almost 10 centuries, religious orders ruled the region with Benedictine monks from Cluny who largely influenced the Mâconnais and Côte Chalonnais, and Cistercian monks from Cîteaux who influenced the Côte de Nuit and Côte de Beaune wine regions. In the 15th century, the Dukes of Bourgogne also helped to grow the reputation of Burgundy wine in France and across Europe. They introduced regulations outlawing the Gamay grape and favoring Pinot Noir with the aim to produce more qualitative wines that were sold to nobles across Europe. Negociants appeared in the 18th century. A boom in the négoce trade generated a new economic power. Bourgogne wines were mostly sold in the north of France, Europe, and even on other continents. Now, most of the land belongs to private wine growers. Burgundian families still own most of the wine vineyards, and they all aim to produce excellent quality wine to sustain the long winemaking tradition. The inclusion of the climate de Bourgogne on the UNESCO World Heritage List in July 2015 was the crowning moment in this long history. Today, Burgundy's yearly production reaches about 165 million bottles a year. 50% is sold in France, and 50% is exported majorly into the US and UK and Japan. The production is then split into three main styles. 61% of the wines are still white, 28% are still red wines, and 11% are sparkling white wines called Crémant de Bourgogne ou Mousseux. But the specificities of the wine of Burgundy are not only linked to a long winemaking tradition, it is also linked to a region that benefits from very specific natural factors allowing the grape to grow in almost perfect conditions. Now, let's look at this together in the following chapter. Burgundy region enjoys a temperate continental climate perfectly adapted to viticulture. Winters are usually cold and dry. Stress is always beneficial because it forces the vine to concentrate on growing fruits instead of leaves. This environment is perfectly fit for two grape varietals. Beaune offers full-body, complex white wines, aged in oak, with flavors such as citrus fruit to tropical fruits, butter, cream, toast, and sometimes nutty flavors. Chardonnay is a non-aromatic grape, which is adapted to a large variety of climates. In cooler climates, it will tend to offer more acidity and fresh fruits such as lemon and apple. In hot climates, it will be less acidic and will offer ripe tropical fruit flavors such as pineapple or mango. Chardonnay can be unoaked, like in Chablis, or oaked, toasted, and seasoned with French oak barrel, like in Meursault or Chassagne-Montrachet, in the heart of Côte de Beaune. Now, let's talk about Pinot Noir. Pinot Noir is one of the earliest grape varieties to be cultivated with the purpose of making wine. As early as the 1st century, ancient Romans were producing wine using Pinot Noir grape. Pinot Noir is a very complicated grape to grow because it is so fragile. It has a thin skin and explaining why the color of the wine is always very light and tannins are delicate and silky. In general, it offers aromas of red fruits with mature wines developing a complex bouquet of flavors such as sweet spices, forest floor, mushroom, and game flavors, especially if they have been oaked. In Burgundy, Pinot Noir is traditionally oaked with French oak barrels. Oak will enrich the structure of the wine and bring more complexity to produce wine with long aging potential. History, climate, grape varietals, and that is a lot to learn and remember. Now let's test your knowledge through the short quiz and I'll be back in a minute. Remember that whether your answer is right or wrong, it increases your Vivant IQ points every time you participate. Est-ce que je lis les questions? Okay, so question 1.
Do you remember what the trigger was for the question?
Hashtag quiz? No, hashtag question. And then the number, I think. It should be written in the script. Go? Okay. So, number 1. Where is Burgundy located? Do I read the answers? Okay. A, in the northeast of France between Paris and Lyon. B, in southeast of France between Lyon and Marseille. C, in the southwest of France between Toulouse and Bordeaux. Or D, in the northwest of France between Paris and Nantes. I will leave you guys a few seconds to answer this question, and then we will continue with the second one. So, I hope everyone was able to answer this question correctly. Let's move on to question number 2. What were the 2 religious orders that influenced and shaped the vineyards for more than 10 centuries? The Jesuits and the Cistercians. B, the Benedictines and the Cistercians. C, the Jews and the Benedictines. Or D, the Jesuits and the Jews. Again, I will leave you guys a few seconds to answer this question. So, let's move on to question number 3. In Chablis, wines are typically A, red with floral notes, red fruits flavors and leather aromas and flavors. B, red with black fruits and toasty oak flavors. C, white unoaked with citrus fruits and a distinctive minerality. Or D, white oaked with rich butter, cream, and nutty flavors. I hope everyone was able to answer that question correctly. Let's move on to question number 4. What is not true about Pinot Noir? A, it is a complicated grape to grow. B, it has thick skins and as a result, wines are high in tannins. C, it produces wine with red fruit flavor profiles. Or D, it is adapted to cool continental climate. So remember, the question was, which one is not true? I hope everyone is able to answer this question. Let's move on with question number 5. Vineyards in Burgundy are located on hillsides. Why is this important? A, it protects the vines from too much rain and wind. B, it allows grapes to have better sun exposure. C, it allows natural water drainage in the soil. Or D, all of the above. That was our last question, and I hope you enjoyed this activity. How did everyone do with our trivia questions? Please let me know in the chat. Remember, wine knowledge is vast and complicated, and it's okay to feel a little overwhelmed, so good job for keeping up with me. Let's move on and learn about terroir. In Burgundy, a terroir refers to a unique and authentic interaction between plant, an ensemble of natural elements, and hard work by winemakers. It is the basis for our entire AOC system, Appellation d'Origine Contrôlée, which in English means Registered Designation of Origins. Burgundy is composed of hundreds of terroirs called climats. The climats of the ultimate expression of terroir in Bourgogne. Each climat is reflecting the characteristics of a vineyard. The entire region is making up a unique mosaic of vineyards. Burgundy has 1,247 vineyards or distinct areas to grow wine. Each one has a different soil composition, and it is a geological marvel. The soils, but also the aspect and the microclimate vary dramatically from one plot to another. In Burgundy, there are a multitude of soil compositions with more or less limestone and clay content. Clay soils tend to stay cooler and also retain water. There are several types of clay soils, including a lime-rich clay called calcareous clay, which is said to be even cooler. These soils are famous for producing some of the boldest and red and white wines in the world. In Burgundy, Vosne-Romanée is noted for producing the world's most acclaimed Pinot Noir on clay limestone soil. Limestone offers beneficial nutrients to grapes that makes them grow better and produce sweeter grapes. It is special because it retains moisture in dry weather. Position on the taste of wine is still a research topic for people in the wine industry. We had an opportunity to interview Mr. Emmanuel Salar, the head winemaker of Château de Pommard, on this matter. So let's hear his vision on this right now. Now that we've seen this interview with Emmanuel Salar, it's time to look into the last chapter of this learning experience about Burgundy. So, what about the wine classification in this region? Let's start by answering a question that we received via Twitter from Lena Winelover. What is the difference between Bordeaux and Burgundy classifications? Well, that is a good question. In 1855, an inspired naturalist and botanist named Jules Laval wrote a classification of Burgundy wines. And in the same year, Bordeaux established the celebrated classifications of its own chateau. The difference between Bordeaux and Burgundy region is mainly the fact that in the Burgundy region, the terroir is classified, not the chateau or other dwelling. In Burgundy, almost half of the wines have a regional classification with grapes coming from the entire region. Within this category, you can also find sparkling wines, Crémant de Bourgogne, Bourgogne mousseux, and wines made from other grapes than Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. Like Bourgogne aligoté with aligoté grape variety and Bourgogne passe tout grain, usually a blend of Pinot Noir with Gamay grape variety. Then, another half is village wine. The wine is named by the village it comes from. Only 10% of them have been classified as more premium with the mention of Premier Cru. So the appellation is the name of the village and the mention Premier Cru added to it. Finally, only a very small proportion of our wine, less than 2%, is Grand Cru. They have a specific appellation name, like Alsace, Corton, Musigny, Chambertin, or Montrachet. And they are high quality wines and they command a premium price. Now we've really started talking about the complicated aspects of Burgundy region. If you don't understand everything, that's okay. And remember, you can always ask questions in the chat on the right. Now, for another short quiz to test your knowledge, this time the questions are a little bit more challenging. Let's see how you do. So let's start with question number 6. The premium classification Grand Cru in Burgundy is given to A. a specific vineyard area, B, a specific property, C, a chateau, or D, a specific village? I will leave you guys a few seconds to answer this question. I hope you guys were all able to answer correctly since we just covered this. Now let's move on to question number 7. In Burgundy, how many percent of wines are classified as village premier cru? A, 2%, B, 10%, C, 50%, or D, 70%? Go ahead and answer that now. And let's move on to question number 8. Clay soil is typically A, tend to produce wine with better aromas and flavors. B, tends to attract nematodes that may harm the vine. C, tend to retain heat and reflect it to the vine. Or D, tend to stay cooler and also retain water. Go ahead and answer that before we move on to question number 9. So question number 9 is, what is the climate in Burgundy? A, a sun-facing exposure of a wine-growing area. B, the combination of natural elements, varietal and human expertise in a particular place. C, all natural elements including soil, topography, and climate of a wine-growing area. Or D, the geological characteristics and soil type of a wine-growing area. This one is a little more difficult, so take your time and answer. I hope everyone was able to answer question number 19. Let's move on to question number 9. Let's move on to question number 10. Which of these appellations produce premier cru wines? Bourgogne Blanc, Pommard, Pinot Noir, or Beaujolais? Go ahead and answer that. And do not hesitate to ask any questions that you may have. If this seems confusing or like too much information, please feel free, and I will do my best to answer after the session. Or right now. While I wait for your questions in the chat, if you would like to ask us questions after the show, you can visit us on our social media platforms. So I answer a question. And don't forget that you guys can also access other online experiences by connecting to our website, vivant.com. It was a pleasure to give you an introduction to Burgundy, and if you want to taste some wine, you can order them online and they will be shipped to your door. You can also contact me directly after the experience if you have any questions or if you need advice choosing your next wine. As a Vivant member, you can access our wine selections at a special member price. Don't forget that we also offer wine experiences on a large selection of wine region topics, and you can follow other experiences with us, some of which allow you to taste the wines while you learn. After the experience, you will be invited to answer a short quiz to further test your knowledge and measure your progress. I am Romain, your Vivant Wine Advisor, and I hope you enjoyed your experience with us, and we hope to see you again soon. This is just the beginning, so continue your journey on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Thank you.